Hey everybody, it's Allie and welcome to our Y&R Chat for Sunday, June 4th, 2017. I'm waiting for the twist, you know, the nuclear option, the one where Chloe didn't really just commit suicide before our very eyes by taking a bunch of pills this week. And Victor and the doctor are making it look only like she's dead, only to have Chloe be reunited with Kevin and Bella in a couple of weeks. That's what I'm waiting for. That's the twist that I'm anticipating. Because if this really is the story, if this really is the end of Chloe and she's dead, this is my first big thumbs down for the new and current Y&R regime. Sally Sussman, Kay Alden, who I have heaped praise upon. If this is really the story that they came up with, it's horrible. It's depressing. I felt depressed and sad all week. I didn't feel compelled to watch. It wasn't like, ooh, can't wait to watch Y&R so that I can feel sad and cry my eyes out. No, this was depressing for me. And I think what really, really bothers me is we've known this character of Chloe for years. She's been on the show for years. We've gotten to know her. Yes, she's been a crazy character in the past couple of years and probably when she first came on, but we've been with this woman through the journey of, you know, of her life. We've been with her through the death of her child. And now to watch her kill herself, I mean, as if the story of Chloe Mitchell wasn't sad and tragic enough. The woman, I mean, even forgetting everything up into to the death of her child, she loses her child and then loses her mind, becomes obsessed, kills a man, and then kills herself a couple of years later. This is not what I want to see. This is not what I tune in for. I didn't even like the story, the whole thing that had to do with Delia. I hated, that is one of my absolute least favorite storylines in Y&R history. If I could get a big eraser and just erase the whole Adam and Delia thing out of the history of Y&R, I would do it in a heartbeat. And so I really hate that we're coming back to more depression watching Delia's mother commit suicide. It's horrible. I keep thinking back to a comment that Gary had left for me. This has probably been weeks and months ago, but there was a point in which Gary had described soap operas as love in the afternoon. That were, you know, it's just, you know, tuning in for, you know, classically love in the afternoon. And this is not love in the afternoon. Go ahead and add suspense, add intrigue, but I will pass on the suicide in the afternoon, okay? I didn't need to see it. I felt bummed out big time. I don't know if you guys felt that way. I don't know if you guys are waiting for a twist too. I saw comments this week on both sides of that coin. Some people saying, yeah, there's no way she's really dead. I've seen people saying, look, we saw the body. So I don't know if you guys are anticipating something more coming down the pike. I think we need to put a poll there for this week to find out what your interpretation of all of this mess of events has been. Do you think Chloe is really dead? Or is there a twist right around the corner? YRChat.com is where you can vote in that poll and leave me your comments on that. I cannot be the only one that is questioning this, but yet at the same time, I have seen her body with my own two eyes. It was a really sad sequence of events. Early in the week, Nick and Chelsea are getting close to finding her hiding out at this doctor psychiatrist's house. And there was that moment where the doctor calls Victor to tell him that Chelsea and Nick are getting close to finding out the truth, and he doesn't know how much longer he can keep them at bay. And Victor orders the nuclear option. That's what I keep going back to. He says, well, then we're gonna have to do the nuclear option. And the doctor says, all right, got it. Now, we don't exactly know what the nuclear option is, but Chloe is in the background, hears this conversation going on, and freaks out. I think she assumes, as you know, I think it's natural to assume when you're being held captive and drugged up against your will that they're planning on killing you. So I think in Chloe's mind, she's got to get out of there. She makes a grab for a pair of scissors and almost kills the doctor. She, pulls herself back and realizes that she doesn't really want to do this, but it's so obvious from that moment that that she's not at all herself. She's no version of herself that we've really seen. I mean, we've seen her off the hinge, but even when she killed Adam, I intellectually understood what she was thinking. She was wanting revenge. That's a very easy through line of thought to follow. But this is she's foggy right now. She's drugged up, she's confused, and to that, the doctor is able to talk her down. He could have been a dead man right then and there, but he talks her down from the ledge and says, you know what? You need more meds. What you need right now is more medication. And the thing is, he tells her, he hands her pill, time to take your pill. She takes it and only pretends to put it in her mouth. We see a scene where she's holding it still in her hand. And I guess that's another element of this that makes me a little bit suspicious. Knowing that Chloe didn't want to take one pill, let alone all of the pills. It seemed, unless the implication there is that by not taking the medication, that made her unhinged enough to kill herself. I don't know. The doctor thinks she's taken her medication. He sits her down, says, drawing always calms you down. So here's your crayons. Little girl, here's your paper. Why don't you draw something? And what Chloe decides to draw is her wedding dress. She is remembering the last time that she was happy. Can we just, even for everything Chloe has been through that we don't agree with, can we just have a moment to remember that this woman's life has had some horrifying, horrible, unspeakable loss in it, and that she was able to go on and have little glimmers of happiness afterwards, including having a daughter, Bella, who she's now being separated from. Let's keep in mind that that's in her mind. I don't know exactly how much she's conceiving of, but she has to be wondering who the father of her child is. I mean, presumably she didn't really know, unless there's like a switch going on with those paternity test results. I don't know, but she has to be in this moment thinking of that last time that she was happy, that wedding to Kevin. She and Kevin and Bella were going to become a family unit together. So she's trying to escape into this moment where she was happy. The next thing we know, Chelsea has come back to the house. She has convinced Nick that the doctor's hiding something, and Nick was able to distract the doctor by getting him out of the house, going to the hotel to answer some questions under the guise of just answering questions. So Chelsea has an opportunity to go back to the house, and the second she walks in the door, she finds Chloe on the floor, surrounded by a pool of pills. How can this not be staged. There was more pills spilled on the floor. I mean, most of the bottle was spilled on the floor. I don't know if any even would have had a chance to get ingested by her. There's just something about it that stinks of being staged to me. But of course, Chelsea is shocked. She's shaken. She's looking for a pulse. She's looking at Chloe. I mean, the doctor comes back and she's, we're presumed dead. We have everybody assuming that the woman is dead on the floor. I mean, the EMTs come in, take her away. And I'm just looking at Chelsea's face, feeling so bad for her because what she wanted was justice for Adam. I don't think there was necessarily ever a moment where Chelsea wanted specific harm upon Chloe. I think what she wanted was for Chloe to be apprehended and to pay for what she did. And now she is feeling guilty, one, for luring the doctor who was taking care of Chloe away, opening the door for Chloe to have this opportunity to kill herself, but also Chelsea feels guilty, I think, that this is Chloe's end. Or maybe it's not guilty, but just sad that this is the end, and to find the body of someone who you did once feel close with. I think that Chelsea felt so betrayed and so hurt by Chloe because she loved Chloe so much, because they were so close. This is a woman who was involved in Connor's life, was involved in her life, and who worked in her business, who was very much steeped in all of Chelsea's hopes and dreams and all of the positive things in her life as well. There were many moments where they were just sitting on the couch, being gals, having wine, confiding in one another. And Chelsea saw the ups and downs of Chloe's life. And I think Chelsea also always will feel that guilt of Connor benefiting from Delia's death in the way that Connor received Delia's corneas. I hate that storyline. Oh, I felt for Chelsea in that moment because she loved Chloe so much, and now she's gone, and we see her body lying on a slab in the morgue. Y&R went to the trouble of showing us that. So it's kind of hard to, as much of a soap opera fan as I am, it's hard to rebuttal against seeing a body laying on a slab in a morgue. I mean, nobody whisked her away into a private jet off to somewhere. I am such a soap opera fan because, and I know this, because I can see a body. I mean, I can see her body there on the table and still not believe that she's dead. I always say, I'm not going to believe anybody's dead until I see the body. And now here I am looking at her body, and I still don't want, I guess, to believe that she's dead because it's so depressing. Apparently her body is being taken back to Genoa City, and apparently there will be some sort of quickie funeral that we saw from the previews of next week's show. Chelsea has to be the one to tell Kevin that Chloe is dead as soon as she gets back into town. And oh my goodness, just Kevin sobbing on the couch, just crying. I'm loving the afternoon. Just watching Kevin just sobbing over the unnecessary suicide of the love of his life. And Kevin is now having to process the fact that he's going to have to tell Bella that her mom isn't coming back. On top of becoming this new parent to this child he didn't know he had, and all of the stress that comes along with that, and all of the questions that Bella already has. Now he has to find a way to, through not just once, but throughout the course of her life, establish that her mother is gone. And Kevin has to have the responsibility of telling Esther that Chloe is dead. I thought it was interesting that, first of all, Kevin chose to go to Gloria first. It seemed like the first person he went to after learning what happened to Chloe was Gloria. I'm not saying that wasn't a moving scene, and I was glad that Gloria was there to comfort him, but considering she really hasn't been there for him for the majority of his life, it's surprising that he would choose her. I thought that was an interesting choice. It's kind of clear that we're trying to prop up Gloria here, in a show or a writing way, and I'm pro Gloria completely, but I thought it was weird that Kevin went to her and not to Michael and not to Esther. That it really, really bugs me that we have not gotten to see Esther's reaction to the fact that her daughter is dead. You know that Kate Linder, the actress, would be there in a heartbeat to film that scene. So why would you leave that big gaping hole there? I really hate this. I know I'm complaining, and I don't like to be too complainy, but I don't like this story. It really bothers me. I really think Y&R missed the mark here, and a really glaring example of that is the fact that we didn't get to see Esther's reaction. We just heard Kevin mention that he told Esther in a conversation with Paul. So again, I've seen Gloria's reaction to Chloe's death. I've seen Paul's reaction to Chloe's death, and I haven't seen Esther's reaction. I'm sure that that is coming next week. I assume that Esther is just going to pop up at her daughter's funeral in tears. This is all, I'm waiting for the twist. I'm just waiting for the twist, because this is such an unnecessarily depressing and unsatisfying ending. I would 10 times rather have just seen Chelsea burst in on Chloe, smack her around once or twice, and send her off to jail. That would have been perfectly fine by me. Welcome to the complainy version of Y&R Chat for June 4th. I'm sorry, I'm not meaning to be so negative, but the show felt so joyless, at least in and around everything having to do with Chloe this week. And the other part of it that gets up under my skin is the fact that if Chloe is dead, and no matter what, Victor looks worse in my eyes, as if that were possible. I didn't know that Victor could screw this up any more than he already has. But honestly, whether or not Chloe is dead, Victor was still having her held against her will. She was so drugged up and out of it that she almost killed someone again. That part was real. The part with the scissors. She almost killed a man again. So way to go, Victor. Let's pretend she's still alive. Way to go, Victor. You still put somebody else's life in danger. And then if she is dead, then it's because she was drugged up and out of it and held against her will that she killed herself. It's abhorrent. And Victor deserves to be caught and punished. Why is no one putting pressure on this doctor for harboring a wanted criminal and asking him questions about who he was working for? That's another thing that makes me wonder if it's staged or something. But, Victor doesn't deserve forgiveness for this. I'm just gonna have to put my foot down on this point. Don't worry, I'll forget and forgive him in a month. But for right now, I don't think that Victor deserves forgiveness. The news of Chloe's death is hitting the Newmans hard, and they're trying to decide how to move on. I mean, do we continue with Nikki's keep calm and carry on plan? Nick and Victoria are certainly not jumping at the opportunity to bury the hatchet. Chloe's death doesn't make everything better. It should make it worse. And now I feel bothered. I feel bothered by the fact that Chloe's death has somehow, I must be missing something, made Nikki reevaluate what she's going to do when it comes to Victor. She is now weighing her options. That was her quote. She's weighing her options when it comes to Victor. What do you need to think about? Specifically, what do you need to think about? If she were a woman who I knew in my life and I could reach out to her, I would tell her, do not go back to him. Are you insane? And this should just seal the deal. I liked Victoria's advice, though. She said, you know what, Mom, take him back or leave him. Do what you want to do. Just do something. Stop living in limbo. And I say, fine. You know what, Nikki? Take him back today or take him back tomorrow. You know you're going to take him back, so you might as well just do it and stop torturing yourself and torturing us. Sharon had an interesting perspective on Chloe's suicide when she found out. Sharon said she knows what it's like to be on all of these medications. Sharon was drugged up at Fairview, and she made a comment that sometimes it can feel like, or that she can identify with the feeling that the medication that you're on can strip you of your personality until you don't know who you are anymore. And I thought it was kind of at least an interesting tie-in that Sharon was commenting on this as someone who's had mental health problems and as someone who is studying mental health problems. And she had a really great conversation with Nick where they just openly talked about suicide, and he asked her if she'd ever considered it, and it was a very frank conversation. Is this the real reason that Y&R had Sharon volunteering at the crisis hotline? Were they just building up to Chloe's suicide? Does having a character working at a crisis hotline help somehow cushion the blow for viewers? I don't want to see suicide on my soap opera. I'm sorry. I normally try to keep things really, really positive, and I just feel so negative about this storyline. This is just what I'm feeling. And first and foremost, I'm using Y&R Chat to get out my feelings about Y&R. So this is just what I feel. In a way, it almost seems a little convenient that Sharon is going through this, working at this crisis hotline. Like they were, I don't know, doesn't that seem a little like, well, we're going to have this character commit suicide, and yeah, that's really bold, and yeah, we're going to have Sharon over there, so it's fine. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like it. I hope it changes. Even if it does change and Chloe is still alive, this is still too gloomy for daytime. But anyway. I suppose I've made my point on that clear. Sharon's divorce is finalized. The papers came through this week. So on the surface, it feels like she is ready to move on with Scott. They are smooching in public. They are being very supportive of one another, but it still seems pretty obvious to me that Y&R is building up something between Scott and Abby. They are very opposite. She's the retail therapy kind of gal, and he is probably a scotch and a book at 2 a.m. kind of guy. They are very opposite, and as we know, opposites tend to attract. And on top of it, we are seeing so many scenes of Sharon and Nick connecting. I can't help but feel that maybe we're gonna gravitate toward a Nick, Chelsea, Sharon triangle and let Abby and Scott hash out what they're gonna hash out. He no longer needs to investigate Abby because she confesses to Victor this week that she moved forward on the incubator idea without his approval and that she felt really bad about it, tried to cover her tracks, and Victor in turn praised her for her honesty. He said, "Do you know how many people have lied to me and stolen from me over the course of business? At least you admitted it. I knew something was up with you, but at least you came to me and told me." I can't help but feel that Victor might have been a little less forgiving of Abby if Nick and Victoria weren't currently turning their backs on him. He was fresh off of a conversation with Victoria where he offered his assistance with her company, or he wants to mean something in Victoria's life again, and that's understandable, of course, but Victoria also understandably doesn't want his help right now, doesn't want his involvement right now. Everything Victor touches turns to disaster. So she can't just forget what he's done and go on with a healthy father-daughter relationship as if nothing has happened. So there's a part of me that wonders if, because his other children have turned their backs on him, he wants to have forgiveness and build up the relationship with the one child who will have anything to do with him. I don't know why Abby is so much more forgiving of him. She's seeing the same things. Well, I guess no, she doesn't know that about Victor's involvement with Chloe. So I guess that's why she's at least able to bond with him somewhat. But I feel like he is pumping her up at Newman Enterprises because he has no one else, in a way. And I mean, can you imagine if Adam would have come to Victor and said, "Yeah, I was stealing from you, but I felt bad about it and put the money back." Do you think Victor would have forgiven him? Hell no. He would have kicked anybody else out for that. But anyway, Abby tells Victor all about what she did, except for the part where she was partnering with Jack to do it. So that's the one little piece that still hasn't come to light. So she is at least scot-free for now. Victor turns around and says, "Hey, you know what? I want to invest in your idea. Maybe we need to stop listening to Victoria." So Victoria's on the outs, so he no longer values her business opinion. So he wants to move forward and help her with her incubator idea. I'm imagining that now it's Scott's job to be on the inside at Newman still, so that he can help bust up the sex trafficking ring whenever that goes down. Whatever that sex trafficking thing is, it's totally connected to what Abby is doing. And Christine has already asked Scott and hipped him to the fact that something is going on. And he has that little bit of FBI experience. So I'm sure he's at Newman to discover, bust up, and help whatever mess Abby is about ready to get them into. And also, apparently, Victor wants to acquire a digital media company, and Scott's going to, on the surface, be taking the lead on that. I think Newman Enterprises should have a digital media company, like a news outlet. We should call it Victor Newman TV or NE Buzz. In just a couple of short years, Billy lost his daughter and also the mother of that daughter. Chloe, for all of the problems that he had with her, was still a connection to Delia, and it was really sad to see his reaction learning of Chloe's death. His reaction also is kind of, "Hey, life is short. Let's move in together, Phyllis." That was an interesting idea. So he's moving full steam ahead with his relationship with Phyllis, while Victoria's in the background missing out, thinking, I took for granted that he was always going to be there, and now he's moving on, for now anyway. I tell you what, I really liked Phyllis and Dina's confrontation. But I was really kind of annoyed with Phyllis for doing it. On a drama level, I thought it was really good. Phyllis comes up to Dina and says, "Don't hurt Jack." You know, I mean, Phyllis sees that Jack has this glimmer of hope when it comes to his mother, and Phyllis doesn't want to see him get dashed. So she gets up in Dina's face and says, "Don't hurt him." But the whole time I'm thinking, first of all, what business is it of yours, Phyllis, to go button up in Abbott family drama right now? I mean, I know that she cares about Jack, and that is good, and that is, you know, worthy, but she's no longer his wife, and she doesn't have any right to go confront his mother. Plus, second, throwing stones at Dina about hurting Jack is so hypocritical. Phyllis, really? You need to mind your own beeswax here, because it just makes you look bad. I was kind of glad that Dina fired back at Phyllis and said exactly that. I mean, hey, you're chastising me. You had an affair with his brother. Don't talk to me about hurting Jack. And then Phyllis has the gall to go back and complain to Jack about it too. Like, "Oh, look, your mother dressed me down. You confronted her." I was on Dina's side this week for sure. In more ways, oddly, than one. I liked that Dina let her hair down this week, literally and figuratively in a way. She looked really pretty. Did anybody else think that? I liked she had her like hair back in a little, it was down, but it had pieces of it back, and she just looked really, really much more matronly. She always has had her hair pulled back very tight in a bun, and we've been seeing her as this shrewd and kind of mean business lady, and now she's here kind of softer. I think she was wearing pink, and her hair is down, and she just looked really pretty for the Abbott family dinner. Everything Chloe was the worst this week. I wish I could crumple it up and toss it into my trash can, but everything with the Abbott family dinner was excellent. I loved it so much, every beat of it. I watched many of the scenes twice, sometimes even 3 times. I had to go back and like refresh my brain. Like, I need something good for Y&R for this week. I probably should have let off Y&R Chat with that, because I think probably my negativity with the Chloe thing was seeping its way into the rest of the show this week. But that Abbott family dinner, specially organized by Ashley? I honestly thought Ashley was trying to set Dina up at first. I thought she's gonna try to give a little, set up a family moment, and then let Dina hang herself and say something horrible. And but no, it really seemed like Ashley was giving a genuine effort to reach out to her mom, to bond with the family. Why not? I mean, it seems like Ravi's having a positive effect on her. She just says, you know what, rather than hanging on to my negativity, I'm gonna lean into the positive. I'm gonna give it a chance. She invites Dina over. Tracy happens to be in town getting ready to, she's kind of working on her book right now, and she just decided to have everybody, Jack and Tracy and Abby, all over to for a classic Abbott family dinner hosted by Mrs. Martinez, or not hosted, but I suppose cooked by Mrs. Martinez. It was so awkward. Everything that Dina said clunked into the middle of the floor like a chandelier and then broke into a million pieces. There was nothing she could say that wasn't weird. Right down to commenting on, or like, I guess comparing Mrs. Martinez's food to May's. I mean, come on. It was so, it was just everything. Nobody was comfortable. And I liked the moment where everybody realized that it was so awkward that they just broke out into laughter. I mean, you know, on a level, it's way better to just acknowledge that there is a strain in this family and that Dina has caused it, rather than putting on a fake smile and being phony about it. I liked that Dina admitted her mistakes and said, I'm not, you know, I'm yes, it's fine. You know, I mean, look, the reason we're not close is because of me. So let's just move on. I liked that it was very forward, and Dina was positively glowing throughout. This was the greatest day of her life to her. I mean, she was kissing Mrs. Martinez's hands, praising the meal. Can you, I mean, grabbing the cook's hands and kissing when she wouldn't even shake Gloria's hand a week or two ago, and now here she is, just everything right, everything perfect. She might as well have been Mary Poppins in that house or something. She comes in, she is herself, she makes no bones about it, and she had a great time right up to and including breaking out into song. She's so happy, so overjoyed to be back in the Abbott mansion that she just sits right down on the couch and just spontaneously starts singing a song that she used to sing to Jack when he was a child. Clearly, Jack has always been the favorite child. Tracy and Ashley are like, I've never heard this song before in my life, but she starts singing out her little songbird song, and Jack floats right in, sits next to her, and they sing this little duet. My God, Dina and Ashley sitting on, or Dina and Jack sitting on that couch singing that song was the single greatest highlight of the show for the entire week. I could not believe what I was seeing. I went back and watched 2 or 3 times just the look on Ashley and Tracy's faces that this was actually happening. It was shock and awe. And I have to give them credit at least for playing along. Abby had this little bit of tear in her eye. Abby and Tracy are just like stun-faced. And you know, I mean, they could have burst out into laughter. They could, honestly, Ashley and Tracy could have had stank face. They could have been like, this is ridiculous. But instead, they kind of went along with it. I think they're shocked that this is actually their mother and that there are some happy memories there for her, for Jack, that there is possibly something positive to build on. Ashley makes her problems with Dina very much known, and yet she's able to put it aside and go with it for the moment. Tracy's feelings for Dina are maybe a little bit more suppressed, but Tracy being Tracy is able to just go along with it. And Jack is practically playing in the band. Jack is practically running off to the office to start the Partridge Family Band with Mom. This seems like the answer to his prayers. The Abbott Family Jam Band. They're going to play the Wisconsin State Fair this summer. You can look for them on the bill. Oh my goodness. It was bizarre in the most wonderful way. So last week I had theorized that Graham could be a long lost half brother, and it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. I'm very disappointed in that because I was so hoping that the conversation would steer in that direction. But instead, Tracy and Ashley asked Dina point blank about Graham. Who is he? Where did you meet him? And Dina just describes him as a friend and an associate who she met at work. She specifically says he watches over her. he dotes upon her. And when she expresses a desire to stay in Genoa City, we start to see a little bit of something different from Graham. A little something different than maybe we have seen before, and maybe a little bit something different from what we were expecting. Graham tells her, no, no, no. You have seen what you needed to see in Genoa City. You've conducted your business. You've met with your family. It's time to go. We need to head back to Paris. We need to stick with the plan. The plan was to come and go, and Dina is protesting a little bit. She is saying, I kind of want to stay around. I'm having a good time with my family. And Graham is really putting his foot down. And all of a sudden, we start to see and sense maybe something menacing about him. I'm not sure if everyone else had that interpretation, but whether or not it's going to follow through as Graham as a menacing character, no matter what, it now presents him as not just arm candy. He's not just there because she wants him there and he's along for the ride and is maybe a little bit dumb and just likes having the money. I mean, that's kind of what the children thought that he was at first, and now we're seeing there's a little something extra, obviously, to the story. Ashley notices it too, that there's something different about Graham, that he's intelligent and that he seems to have some kind of influence over Dina. So she confronts him. She asks him who he is. She asks him point blank what's going on with her mother. Why is it that she is so different now? Tracy talked to Ashley after the dinner and said, haven't you noticed that she's not the same? There is something really, really different about her. There's something going on there. And Ashley surmises that maybe Dina is dying. Maybe she's trying to reconnect with the children because she's dying. And she asks Graham that. Graham says, no, she's not dying, but just before he can really say anything about what is going on with her, they get interrupted. He was just saying, well, she isn't dying, but anyone on Earth should know that time is limited, and Dina just wants to reconnect with her family, especially now. And right as he was saying, especially now, Dina comes in and interrupts the conversation and we learn absolutely nothing. So something is going on there. My first instinct was, I wonder if she's broke and maybe Graham is some sort of handler, maybe trying to help her or get her to sell her business, to liquidate her assets. I'm not sure, but there was a moment at the very end of Friday's show where Graham and Dina go upstairs and he's so insistent on leaving town now that the business has been conducted that he is trying to pack up her things and force the issue, and she is saying, no, I don't want to go, and she throws a little bit of a mini fit and tries to pull her things out of the bag. Graham grabs her hand just very, very lightly, and she makes an oh she does the oh kind of thing, and Ashley overhears. She's come up to Dina's room to talk to her personally. She overhears Dina oh and says, what's going on in here? Well, Dina immediately lies for him. I mean, she makes it seem like it was nothing. And even if it was nothing, she still lied. She still said, oh, it's, Graham's just helping me. I mean, it's painting the picture now that Dina's lying for Graham, that she's just actively, whatever the relationship is with him, lying about it. And that makes me think that maybe Graham is not a good guy after all. I kind of like my long lost son story idea better. If Mariah and Devon are together and Hillary and Jordan are together, isn't that kind of boring? drama in there. I want to get a sense that Lily thinks Jordan is cute, or I want to get a sense that Hillary and Devon are still deeply longing for each other. Hillary lets slip this week that she was in the condo the night that Devon and Mariah slept together. She didn't mean to, but she said something that indicated she knew that they did it on the stairs, and Devon said, how do you know that? How could you possibly know that? And she has to tell him everything. How humiliating to have to go through it and then have to admit it. I felt so bad for her, and I felt bad for Devon too. I wanted either Hillary or Devon to really reach out. I wanted to see or feel that there's something still there, but that doesn't seem to be happening. Well, even though the drama isn't with the relationships though, I really like what's going on with Hillary and Lily. Hillary wants so bad to tell Lily what happened between Kane and Juliet, and it doesn't seem to be just like a girlfriend to girlfriend, you need to know kind of thing. I think Hillary wants to see Lily's little bubble of perfection get burst all over the place, because Lily is the golden girl. She's the angel, and everybody sees Hillary as the devil, and she's the bad girl, and it kind of makes sense that Hillary wants to take her pitchfork and burst that bubble. Especially when she has this juicy info that she tried to give to Lily last week and it ended up getting smashed to pieces. But I like that she really wants to find a way to bust this up without just blatantly busting it up. Anytime Hillary and Lily are in scenes together, that's an immediate attention grabber for me. I think those two are great together. They're so opposite, and there's just this weird, I don't know, it's a weird connection. Like they're just forced into each other's worlds, so they have to interact, but neither one of them likes it one little bit, and it just makes for some really good scenes. Hillary and Lily. Hill and Lil. There's just always bitchiness bubbling beneath the surface. So Kane has screwed up in so many ways. I thought he was, making some brilliant moves, and no, he's really just messing this whole thing up. He messed up with the whole Billy trap. That didn't work out. He wanted to get Billy out of the company, and now Billy has a stronghold there more than ever. And Kane messed up with Juliet. He's not entirely unhappy about the fact that Juliet's getting fired, and he could have hidden that a little bit more when talking to her. He could have suggested that she get a job at Hamilton Winters, put in a good word for her, but instead he was like, oh, well, you got fired. Guess you better go back to Tokyo. Wah, don't let the door hit you on the way out. Hey, what a dummy. He's, at least try to be a little more subtle on what you're doing. You're playing with fire right now. You're playing with fire when it comes to Juliet, and the fact that Hillary knows about it all. Oh, Hillary is planting seeds in Juliet's mind, we'll put it that way. Juliet now has no job. She has debt. She's left her whole life in Tokyo to relocate to, halfway across the world, and now she's lost that job. She has no prospect. She's not sure what she's going to do, and she's bitter about it. I think she's bitter at the way everything happened at Brash and Sassy. I think she's bitter that she felt Kane couldn't let the fact that they slept together go. If they did sleep together and there was nothing shady about Juliet's involvement in that, like she didn't drug him or anything like that, then she kind of has at least a little bit of a right to feel like, why can't he just let this go? Why does he have to keep bringing this up? Why does this have to be something we talked about every day? I can see if Juliet just slept with him and that's it, and he's constantly bringing it up and being paranoid about it, I can see where she is annoyed with him. And I can see also where she's annoyed with Victoria. I mean, yes, she did make the mistake, but Billy would have been the clear person to fire. At the same time, that is how business works, but you never feel good about it. It doesn't feel good to get fired. So Juliet's walking around with no prospects, no real life in Genoa City, nothing to lose. And Hillary suggests, why don't you file a sexual harassment lawsuit? That'll get you something. I mean, I don't know how that exactly works in Juliet's favor, though. Who would want to be that person? Why would you? It's not going to get you your job back. I mean, it might get you some money, I suppose, but it's really more about revenge. And it looks like she's going to do it, too. So, yeah, Kane is a jerk. And, yeah, you lost your job. But, I mean, and I'm understanding somewhat of, where her mentality must be, but does she really have enough motive to file a sexual harassment lawsuit when she knows at heart that there really was no sexual harassment to it? Last week, Ravi offered his services to Ashley, saying that he would be perfectly happy to be a metaphorical umbrella for the rain that's being dropped upon her life. To which she responded, "You are an excellent umbrella." And that was last week's Who Said It quote. A lot of people got that right. It was a cute little moment between Ashley and Ravi. And I do like that he's having that positive effect on her. And I'm guessing maybe you guys are feeling that way too. Quite a few people were tuned into that moment and got the quote right. It was Rosanna, Beatrice, Sandra, Heather, Henry, Gina, Consuela, Tony, Jackie, Susan, Rose, and Sharita. Well done, you guys. I have a new quote for you this week, too. So if you think you know who said this, you can tell me. I want to give you a pocket full of wishes. What a nice thought. Who said it? I want to give you a pocket full of wishes. If you think you know, why don't you head on over to yrchat.com. You can leave your guess there. You'll see it right on the website. And if you get it right, then you too will get your shout out in next week's Y&R Chat. Okay, let's get to your comments for the week. Justin left me a voicemail saying, I wish that Phyllis would stop blaming Victor for the downfall of her relationship with Jack. Victor did a terrible thing, but it was totally not the reason why the two of them broke up. Phyllis and Jack broke up because she had an affair with Billy. Phyllis needs to take responsibility for her actions, Justin says. I'm glad that I was not the only one who was kind of annoyed on some level, one or another level, with Phyllis this week, because I just felt like she was being so hypocritical. I do think that she has a reason, of course, to be upset with Victor, but I think, Justin, you are right. There was not just one reason that the relationship ended. There was also Jack's decision to not move forward with getting some revenge or taking some sort of action on Victor. There were a lot of different things that went into Phyllis and Jack's relationship not working out. So saying that it's one thing is a little bit narrow focus. There were quite a few things that went into that. Gary left me a voicemail this week saying, this awkward dinner party is out of this world. The event of the week, you may quote me. So I did, Gary. He also goes on to say that Tracy is truly able to put into life philosophy what Ravi advised, to rise above, to kill them with kindness. Tracy, Gary says, knows how to do that instinctively. I thought it was incredible when Jack pointed up to Dina that she hadn't even asked about Tracy, and I think Tracy was probably more ignored by Dina than anyone else, yet she just rose to the occasion. She said, I'm not feeling ignored, I'm just glad that we're all together. And she went above and beyond to pull out a book of hers to give to her mother as a gift, even though her mother hadn't read any of them. That really is putting the Ravi system into effect. I'm very wowed by Tracy this week, a bona fide adult. I I like that you zeroed in on Tracy here, because it does seem that Tracy is always kind of the forgotten Abbott, or she's always the one that's off in the wings. She's sort of silent. It's like if you're not banging pots in the foreground, then you're not really an Abbott. And I think you're right that Tracy is probably the ignored Abbott, the one who's gotten the least attention. Jack is clearly the favorite child. Ashley, I think, gets the attention in the negative sense, like negative attention, whereas Jack gets positive attention. And then Tracy's just somewhere off in the distance, yet she was able to rise above, as you say. She was able to really give Dina a chance, to encourage Ashley to give Dina a chance. And even though it probably hurts to think of your mom being not even aware of your career. I mean, there was a moment where Dina referenced Tracy's book, and Ashley jumped right in to say, Tracy's written several books. I mean, your daughter over here is quite remarkable in her own right, even though she didn't become a business person specifically. I liked that Tracy still said, it's okay, and I brought you a copy. It's like Tracy just treats everybody with the same level of kindness, and I like that you tied that into the philosophy that Ravi is trying to put out there. Very good. Connor left me a voicemail, and Connor, I want to know what you're thinking about Phyllis too. I know you have very strong opinions on Phyllis. I want to know if I'm the only one that was kind of annoyed in that confrontation. So, but Connor says, here's my theory on Graham. I think Dina's being manipulated, maybe brainwashed by him. Did you notice the scene of Tracy and Dina having a talk and Graham lurking around in the background? He could be taking advantage of her so he could take everything, take the company back away from Devon and Neil, and probably go after Jabot. There is something menacing about Graham. I'm glad I'm not the only one that's picking up on it. And it does definitely seem like he's able to manipulate Dina. The question is, of course, is to what end? Sharita left me a voicemail, and she theorized that Dina might have Alzheimer's or dementia. Sharita mentioned that Dina, at several points at the dinner party, repeated herself at least twice. And also, I thought this was interesting that Dina thought possibly that Graham could be a doctor. Now, I got that voicemail on Wednesday, so that was after that little moment in the hotel suite. So maybe you've changed your opinion on that. But I thought it was at least a little bit interesting, because even though I feel like we're maybe supposed to think that Graham is menacing because of the wrist grab, and he didn't grab her wrist very hard. He did not. I watched it twice. He just grabbed her arm a little. So that in and of itself doesn't necessarily mean that he's a bad guy. There is certainly still a possibility that he could be a good guy. Maybe that'll be next week's poll. If we haven't had more light shined upon Graham throughout the course of next week, maybe that'll be our poll, because I think you could read it either way at this point. Henry left me a voicemail, so good to hear from you, saying it is so unrealistic that Chloe's mother, Esther, has not been informed. Why would you let everybody know, including Gloria, and not Esther? I think also this voicemail came in on Wednesday, and Kevin just very casually mentioned that he told Esther. We didn't see Esther get informed, and I'm glad that someone else was picking up on that big gaping hole in this big gaping hole of a depressing ass storyline. I probably should have let off with all the Abbott stuff, because I can't be the only one though that just I'm such a sponge for emotion, and I don't want to sit there and feel suicide. It's a little too much for me. And I mean, if they were gonna do it, at least do it well, and I don't think they did it well. Lot Valley though at yrchat.com says, I figure no one is dead on Y&R unless you see the body. We did in Chloe's case, and that was a haunting final shot showing her at the morgue. However, I harbor the same suspicion as Superplex, who was also saying on the website, I don't think she's dead. Lot Pelly says, Dr. Harris, who needs a pipe to go with that bad sweater. Thank you. Hardly seemed bothered by the sudden turn of events. And even though the EMTs were there to provide third-party confirmation that she was not only merely dead, but really most sincerely dead, I wonder about it being an elaborately planned ruse designed to get Chelsea to give up the hunt. Wow. Yes. I mean, if it is, then yes. I hope that's it. I really hope that's it. And you might be right. Colleen at yrchat.com also says, is it possible the drugs were used to make Chloe appear dead for a short amount of time? Is it possible that Victor knows she isn't dead? Colleen, I do think I think that would have to be a component of it if Chloe is still alive, that there would have to be some kind of drug that would lower her heartbeat. I mean, because why would she be in the morgue? That's the thing, if she's dead, why would she even be in the morgue? I don't know how, what, I could see the EMTs being actors or something that were, please tell me that that's where we're going with this. I can't get over it, sorry. Daisy on Facebook gave me 3 scenarios for what's going on with Chloe, saying, number 1, what if Chloe became so panicked that she called Kevin, who devised the idea to fake her own death? I thought that was interesting too, that maybe it was not Victor that was behind it, but maybe Chloe and Kevin were in cahoots together to fake her own death. Number 2, Daisy says, what if Chloe was murdered by the doctor who staged Chloe's suicide because she was panicked about getting caught? And 3, what if Chloe did kill herself and that we didn't see the real Chloe? I think it's possible, Daisy says, that Chloe hit Delia and killed her, and that her entire being cried to the point of not only just a mental break, but a break with reality. I still, like you, Daisy, it's like I will never believe that Adam ran over Delia. I don't know why. But I mean, and yet, that would be really sad if Chloe had done it herself. I mean, I hadn't thought of that. I mean, that's the thing about soaps, is that they can take it anywhere. And that's why we as viewers can see a body and not think that a character is dead. Only, and especially on soaps, there's a rewrite for that. There is a way to get us out of pretty much any hole. And I kind of wish these writers would start digging. Or filling. Start getting us out of this hole. Thomas on YouTube left me a comment saying, do you think Juliet will still have a prominent storyline, or will she be let go from the show? Well, the Juliet, and I think this comment was midweek, but the Juliet sexual harassment suit is quite possibly something that could keep her on the show a little while. But it's interesting you said that, because I had asked a question last week of if you had to cut somebody other than Greg Ricart, Kevin, who would you cut? And quite a few people said Juliet. Quite a few people also agreed Abby. I hadn't even thought of that, but that's a good one. Honestly, yeah, Abby and Scott could flutter off my screen, and I wouldn't be sad. I absolutely would not be sad about that. I mean, I think there's potential there, but I've never connected with this new Abby, and I think that's a good one. But and Juliet, I think, Thomas, that Juliet is probably a temporary character. I think that she's going to serve her purpose in breaking up Lily and Kane's marriage, and she'll be gone off the show in a couple of months. Superplex at yrchat.com says Hillary revealed herself to be a total hypocrite. First, she pulled the plug on Mariah before she could unveil the fact that Jack was the person behind a bogus sexual harassment story, castigating her in the process on her reckless journalistic practices. She wastes no opportunity, however, to try to level that same groundless charge against Brash and Sassy. We know what her motivation is: to expose the one-night stand that Kane had with Juliet. Her only interest is to shatter the illusion of the devoted husband Lily imagines Kane to be. Well, that's an interesting parallel, Superplex, that I never would have thought of. Hillary stopped Mariah from airing a bogus sexual harassment suit, yet she's pushing Juliet into one. That's an interesting point. Let's see. I think that, as you had mentioned, that the point of this and the motivation of Hillary is to break up Lily and Kane's marriage, and if there can rain down some humiliation on Lily and or Kane in the process, why not? I'm a little scared and sad to see how the children are gonna get caught in the middle of this, and I think that that's really the reason why the twins were so harassed, why they had soap opera rapid aging syndrome this past week. I think it's because Kane and Lily's marriage is headed for the dumps, and the kids are going to be affected by it, and Y&R wanted to really show that as opposed to just saying it with little kids toddling around off screen. Last week's poll question was, can you get into the new Y&R teen scene? And it was split. 51% of you said, yes, I can get into these teens, and 49% of you said, nope, burger. I mean, I think on the no side, it's pretty obvious. Some of the dialogue is a little bit cheesy, and I think that it didn't feel entirely natural. I think that Y&R maybe has some work to do to make that feel a little more natural and appealing to the adults. But all of the comments that I saw in support of the Y&R teen scene were people saying and comparing to the Glow by Jabot kids in the 90s, and several people saying that as a teen is what drew them into the show. I think that's so fantastic. I was already watching by then, but I was still young, and I was able to connect in with those characters, and it kept me in the show. But I think that it was interesting to make that parallel to where we are now, and that so many people are able to, and wanting to dig into those teens, even, as we still become adults. And again, we need to pull in those new viewers. Oh, this is what I wanted to say. I was listening to this podcast, totally unrelated to soap operas, and they were playing this game where the host was picking a word and saying it to a child and asking the child to describe that word, and the contestants were supposed to guess what the word was. So what I heard was a description from a child saying, well, really only like old ladies watch, and they're very highly dramatic, and I don't even know who even watches that. And I knew immediately that the word was soap opera. And I thought it was so interesting because I think these were, maybe like, I want to say these kids are maybe in the 10, 11 sort of age range. And it's interesting to me, and I kind of remember feeling that way, that soap operas are so like looked down upon in a way that kids think of soap opera and they think old ladies. First of all, like, you're only something that your grandma would watch, and that they're not good, that it's just sappy and soupy, and who would even want to watch that? So maybe a Y&R teen scene could find a way to spin that perception a little bit. I would love for, to get some newer viewers and to bring those in for the next generation. Oh, let's see. Oh, T. Nicole had left me a comment at yrchat.com saying she got Eric Braden's book for her mom for Mother's Day, and her mom just finished the book and said it was very interesting. Asked how the book was coming along for me. I am on, like, I think maybe I'm 2 chapters from the end. I've been slow getting in on it because now I also get my CBS Soaps in Depth subscription, and I'm always trying to, get those in, so I'm getting the latest news and stuff about the show, and so that kind of got backburnered a little bit, but I was just reading it just last week, and I'm going slowly but surely through the book, and it is fantastic. I got through the chapter specifically about Y&R where Eric Braden is, in a veiled way, doesn't name him, but is talking about the relationship and kind of negative relationship that he had with Michael Mooney, who played Adam before Justin Hartley, the last Adam. And I tell you, it was interesting to read Eric Braden's perspective on that. I mean, I'll just say this because I don't want to spoil the book for anybody, but if it's true, Michael Mooney was parking in Eric Braden's parking spot. That's all you need to say. You are a star at CBS for 30 years. You are Eric Braden. You are the star of The Young and the Restless, and some young punk comes up parking in your spot? No. I'm sorry. No. I don't know if that's true, but that sort of is the essence, I guess, of the attitude, I think, that maybe Eric Braeden is saying that Michael Mooney had, that he was going to kind of maybe be the next heir to the throne. And in a way, that it did make me think a little bit back about that Delia storyline. I wonder if maybe Michael Mooney just wasn't liked. Maybe there were people at the show who said, this guy is a jerk. Let's just pin this thing on him. Maybe Michael Mooney was just not as popular with the executives and the people behind the scenes at The Young and the Restless as he was with the fans. So maybe they thought, let's just let Adam do this horrible thing and see how it all pans out. And if the viewers turn on him, that's an excuse to get rid of him. You know, I mean, I think that's actually pretty plausible. That's just my guess, though. I do love drama. Lastly, Lauren at yrchat.com says, Allie, please tell me you agree that Nikki has been looking so great lately. I just loved her casual look with the white jeans and button-up shirt on Friday's show. She's definitely looking her best these days. Yes, I totally agree. I loved her little ponytail look in the boxing, the hay bale boxing scene, and I loved her look early in the week where she had on, I think it was like a red top. I can't remember exactly, but this beautiful white blazer. She just looked glowing in white and red, just looking absolutely stunning lately. In fact, everybody looks so good lately. I normally do my ribbons or raspberries feature for the website where we can talk about good and bad fashion, but I haven't had any raspberries lately. I mean, I don't want it to just be praise. I mean, I haven't had any outfits that seem a little bit questionable. If you guys see outfits that you think are kind of let me know, because that'll clue me into something I can get a screenshot of. But it just seems like lately everybody's looked really good. What can I say? Okay, I think that just about takes me to the end. I hope that you guys enjoyed this week's show more than I did. I am really sorry if it was negative, but I don't know, maybe next week there'll be a twist, maybe next week will be more positive. I am keeping my fingers crossed. In the meantime, you guys let me know what you're thinking about this past week's show, about the current week's show. I love reading your comments at yrchat.com or on Facebook or YouTube, or you can call into my voicemail at 309-588-4569. Whatever works for you works for me. I use this as a way to get out my feelings about this show, and I encourage you completely to do the same. Okay, I think that's all. Everybody have a good week. I love ya, and I'll see you next time. Bye.